These are the 5 top TVs of 2025 that we are really looking forward to seeing the most. Number 1 is the Samsung S95F. This is the successor to the Samsung S95D, which we crowned as our TV of the year at the TechRadar Choice Awards last year, and it's got some improvements in, well, one particular really key area, and generally across the board. The Samsung S95F has the second version of Samsung's glare-free kind of matte covering for the OLED screen, which reduces reflections to basically nothing, just a haze instead of something that's distracting. But whereas the last version, in trade-off for this, slightly raised the black levels, this version really keeps the black levels looking black. It's the best of both worlds. It's very impressive. We spent some good time with it at CES and it looks absolutely fantastic. It also comes in an 83-inch model this year for the first time, although that doesn't use the same QD-OLED panel as the 55, 65 and 77-inch versions. That is using LG's latest and greatest WOLED panel, but Samsung says it will achieve exactly the same kind of dazzling brightness and color richness that we expect from a Samsung OLED TV. How much brightness? Samsung is saying that this model line should be able to hit 2000 nits of sustained brightness in a 10% HDR window and 4000 nits of brightness for very brief times in 3% HDR window. That is way beyond any OLED TV we've tested so far. This looks really exciting. Number 2 is more at the budget end of the scale, and it is the TCL QM7 for 2025. This is the mid-range model in TCL's US Mini-LED lineup. TCL hasn't announced its UK and Europe lineup yet. That will probably come in spring. The QM7 is a Mini-LED TV that we saw at the CES show floor, showing really good local dimming, really rich colors, really strong brightness, good black tones, and is available in up to a 98-inch size. That could be the real secret hit of this year. This could be a really surprisingly affordable, high quality 98-inch TV, although I suspect at the other sizes it's going to be magical as well. Next up is the Hisense 116UX. This is looking likely to be the first RGB Mini-LED backlit TV that arrives on the market. Hisense says it should launch in the second half of 2025, although it will probably have some competition because Samsung also has an RGB backlit TV. It says it will launch in the second half of 2025, but it hasn't shown the final model yet. Hisense actually showed off at the show this 116-inch TV with this next generation backlight. Normally, in a Mini-LED TV, like the one I've got here, what you have is a screen of very small LEDs behind a color filtering layer of pixels. The LEDs are all the same color. This is almost always blue in today's TVs. And then the color is filtered through the pixels by quantum dots in a lot of today's TVs to get the image that you see on screen. In an RGB backlight, each LED in the backlight has red, green and blue subpixels and actually creates the right kind of light for each section of the screen before it even gets to the color filtering layer in the pixels. That means you don't need such aggressive color filtering in the pixels, which means they absorb less energy as the light passes through. What this means is RGB backlit TVs promise to have richer colors, a wider color gamut, and better brightness for the same level of power and efficiency as current Mini-LED TVs. It's very new tech, so all the TVs kind of announced with it so far are very large. Hisense's is 116 inches, Samsung's is 100 inches. But this technology really is the future of Mini-LED TVs, and I've been told it won't cost very much more, if any, to produce than current Mini-LED tech. Number 4, I'm going to cheat and actually do as a double entry for the Panasonic Z95B and the LG G5. These both use the latest generation LG 4-stack OLED TV panel. This is a really interesting development in the world of OLED TVs because it adds an extra layer of OLED pixels into the panel while dropping the micro lens array layer of billions of tiny lenses on the front that were used in the previous generation of high-end OLED panel to help focus and improve the light. So what we're promised is basically the best brightness that's ever come from TVs that use LG's OLED panels, along with other picture refinements around color and around balancing that contrast that should be incredible to look at. The reason I've bundled both of these TVs together is we kind of have limited knowledge about them both as far as what else is going on. The G5 doesn't have a huge amount of other changes being added to it. The Panasonic Z95B has actually been completely re-engineered with a new thermal flow to help it boost the brightness of the TV for longer periods, and with a completely rearranged speaker design. Panasonic packs in a whole Dolby Atmos speaker arrangement into its TVs, whereas LG goes for a much less elaborate set of speakers. So these two are really interesting to kind of compare to each other, with Panasonic known for its extreme fine-tuning of the panels that it uses and trying to give them as much extra boost for OLED brightness as possible, whereas LG's version of this TV will be slightly cheaper, but just incredible value, and in the past hasn't really been that different in brightness to what Panasonic's achieved. So these two comparing to each other, and just generally very exciting things to look out for. And finally, for number 5, I want to give a shout out to Samsung's The Frame Pro TV, which is a kind of a new upgraded version of the Frame, which is one of Samsung's most popular TVs. The new Frame Pro is a mini-LED TV, which is the first time this technology has come to the Frame lineup, but it's still got the same kind of chunky design that looks like a picture frame that people like because it has a more design-focused aesthetic that fits into homes in a way that a lot of modern TVs just don't try to do. One of the design-focused features it has is a separate connections box that is wireless connected to the TV. So the TV still needs power, but you can run that power to it however you want, but it doesn't need any cable for getting in your images from your set-top box, your game console, whatever that might be. The small separate connection box takes all your HDMI cables, it has all the processing in, all of that stuff, and will beam a 4K 144Hz image that Samsung says is effectively latency free. The latency is said to be 1 to 1.5 frames, so shouldn't really be noticeable in any significant way, over to the TV. And then when you are watching movies in TV, the mini-LED backlight will work at full quality. You'll get great local dimming, you'll get impressive brightness. When you have it in the Samsung Frames art mode, then the way the backlight works will change, and it will dim down massively and become a much more even layer of light with no local dimming. I've seen a direct comparison of last generation's regular Frame TV and the new Frame Pro. The art modes look extremely similar. You can barely tell the difference between them. But when watching TV, it is like night and day. The new Frame Pro has such brighter highlights, such better black tones, just the overall contrast and colors across the whole thing. It's like a whole different experience. So when you add in the cool wireless box as well, the Frame Pro is definitely one of the more interesting TVs coming out this year. So based on my time getting hands-on with these TVs at CES, those are the 5 in particular I'm most looking forward to us getting here in our testing rooms. There were many more great TVs I saw, or TVs that have the potential to be great, including of course the LG C5, the mid-range OLED TV from LG, a range of other Samsung TVs. You might have seen that Hisense is launching a 136-inch micro-LED TV that you can actually buy at home for the first time. We'll work out how to do a review of that because honestly our doors are not really set up for 136-inch TVs, let alone the fact it comes in a 163-inch version as well, but we'll sort something out. There's also a new range of Panasonic LED TVs for all budgets coming this year in the US, which we didn't have last year, as well as a new Panasonic Mini LED TV, so looking forward to that as well. If you've got any questions about these TVs or anything else that's expected to come out in 2025, please just let us know in the comments.